We had some questions on the first test we took. The first question here was about this graph. The question wants to know, the line graph shows the average number of awakenings during the night for men and women of different ages. Use the graph to estimate the difference between the average number of awakenings during the night between 45-year-old men and 45-year-old women. So 45 is between 40 and 50. And so for the women, it looks like maybe 2.1. And then for the men here in blue, I would guess 4.1. And so when I subtract the two of those, because it wants to know the difference means subtract, I get 2. Now they have for their answer 2.1, but it says we have a tolerance of plus or minus 0.2. So that means they would take an answer between, let's see, plus or minus 0.2 of their answer. So they give it the correct answer for between 2.3 when you add 0.2 and when you subtract 2, 1.9. And my answer is within that tolerance. So my answer of 2 would have been okay. The person who did this said 1.5, which is outside the tolerance of it. The next one down, it says a thief steals a number of rare plants from a nursery. On the way out, the thief meets 3 security guards, one after another. To each security guard, the thief is forced to give a half of the plants he has, plus 2 more. Finally, the thief leaves the nursery with 18 plants. How many plants were originally stolen? So he originally had 18 plants. Working backwards, he gave 2 of those plants to the security guard and double it because it said a half of them. So if we're going backwards, we double it. Going backwards, instead of giving them away, we take 2 back and we're doubling it instead of halving it. And you get for that 40. And then doing it again to the next security guard, he gave away 2, which means we get 2 back. He halved it, so we double it again. And you'll get 84. And then likewise, add 2 multiplied by 2, and you get 172 plants. So 172 should have been the answer on that one. The next one was kind of tricky. What was tricky about it was the cleanup on it. Well, there was a couple things that were tricky on it. But when you have radicals to solve it, remember what you do is you square both sides. So squaring both sides, the outside radical is gone. So that would give you 3 square root of x plus 1 equals 3x minus 7. But we still have a radical left. So let's square both sides again. So on the left, when you do 3 times radical x plus 1, 3 times radical x plus 1 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. And then a radical times a radical is just, it's gone. It's just x plus 1. So 9 times x plus 1. And on the right, again, just like I wrote that out twice, write this out twice. You got 3x minus 7 times 3x minus 7. So foiling it, you got 9x squared minus 21x, and then plus 49. So on the right, you've got 9x squared minus 42x plus 49. So on the left here, multiplying by 9, you got 9x plus 9. And so we want to move everything to one side when it's quadratic. And so moving this over, I'm going to subtract the 9x and subtract the plus 9. So it leaves you with 0 equals 9x squared minus 51x plus 40. Then you could factor it or you could graph it, see where it crosses the x-axis. Since they want the answers as a radical, you can't really graph it to see where it crosses the x-axis. What you're going to do is get decimals, which they didn't want. They want radicals. So you're going to have to use that quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So we've got a, b, c. So negative b makes that positive 51 because it was negative 51 plus or minus b squared, negative 51 squared. Put the 2 outside the parentheses. Don't put it inside because you got to square the whole quantity, negative 51. minus 4 times A times C over 2 times A. So it gives you 51 plus or minus. On the bottom, 2 times 9 is 18. And under the radical, use your calculator, parentheses, negative 51, parentheses, put the 2 outside of it. Minus 4 times 9 times 40, just in one big chunk on your calculator, it's 1161. This is when it gets kind of evil. 1161 cleans up. 51, 18, both divide by 3. So maybe we can get a 3 out of the radical, and we can, because if you divide by 9, 9 goes in 161, 129 times, 129 times 9. Square root of 9 is 3. And all 3 of those chunks divide by 3. You have to do each and every piece of it. So then that leaves you then with 51 divided by 3, 17. 3 divided by 3, 1. You don't write the 1. And then over 6. So that's how they got their answer. Again, that was a tough one. There's a lot to do on that one. Let's see if there was another one. Ah, there is more. Let me hit clear. Okay, on the next one, I like to draw a number line to do the problems. So on a number line, on the left is negative infinity. To the right, you're going to positive infinity. Let's see, we've got the number negative 3 and negative 4. Oh, and positive 4. So for the first one here, it's from negative infinity to the number negative 3 with an open circle. And then for the next one, it's from negative 4 closed because it's a bracket over to 4 with an open circle. The union of it means anything and everything there. Well, we have, again, from negative infinity, and just keep on going, we have the negative 3 because it's on this line. And then keep on going, it stops at the 4, but it doesn't include the 4 because there's a parenthesis on it. So that's how come it was negative infinity to 4 with a parenthesis and an open circle, because this was an open circle. It wasn't included. So the answer is not included. As an aside, if they would have had, instead of a union, if it would have been an intersection, that's where the 2 of them overlap at, which would have been in here. So they overlap, they both include the number negative 4. And then they go to the number 3, but 3 is not negative 3, but it's not included for both of them. It's in the red, it's in the green one, but not the red one. So you'd need to put a parenthesis on it. So the intersection of it is from bracket negative 4 to negative 3 with a parenthesis. Again, it's where the 2 lines overlap, and they don't overlap on the negative 3. Union is anything and all of it there. Last one here. Cleaning it up and solving it. Multiply across by the 4. So that gives you 4 times 8, 32. 4 times 3 minus 12x. Bring down the inequality. Bring down 47 minus 9x. Then I like my letters on the left. So I'm going to move that over to the other side. It becomes plus. My numbers, that's a plus 32, goes to the right. So it's minus 32. So negative 12 plus 9x is negative 3x. And then 47 minus 32 gives you 15. Yeah, I wrote it down before I started. It's hard to talk and do the math all at the same time. You just do silly mistakes. All right, and then last of all, divide by the negative, which flips it. Remember, when you divide by a negative, it's a flipper. So it becomes greater than or equal to then negative 5. So equal to, remember, is a bracket. So that's why it's a bracket, because it has an equal on it. When it's equal, it's a bracket and a colored in circle. So from negative 5 to infinity, which they have down here. And again, it had to be a bracket because the answer was equal to. All right, that was it for the questions. Again, if you want any more questions answered, just let me know. Shoot me an email with what you need me to do. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.